Also, when people leave, there's not really a lot of support of the up-and-coming artists. It's kind of like, cool, I got out, I don't have to worry about the city anymore. Hi, my name's Kafaye. I'm a singer-songwriter from Toronto, and you're watching my session with Off the Record. All right. Let's see. Let's check this out. Prince. Also what my first name is. My name's Prince Kafaye. Prince is a GOAT. I heard he has a vault of music that nobody's ever heard, and I would love to take a listen to some of those songs. The question is, if you got to pick the line up for a music festival, what 3 headlines would you choose? I would have to say Frank Ocean, because I never got to see him at Way Home, and I don't know if he'll ever perform again. You never know with Frank Ocean. It didn't say Dead or Alive, so I'm gonna have to say James Brown, because as a performer, just knowing that he can do back-to-back-to-back shows and still bring that same energy is really amazing. And I'm gonna say Michael Jackson, because why not? You know, like that's something I'm kind of sad about, that I never got a chance to see him live. But those would be my top 3 picks. All right, we have Kool and the Gang. I sang one of their songs at Young and Dundas one day for the Broncos, Argos 50th anniversary, and then they won while I was on stage, and then the music cued and I sang Celebration, which is really cool, and a beautiful cover. I love photography. The question is, for you, how is the music you make with Notorious different from the music you make as an independent artist? So I'm a part of a music collective called Notorious. There's 5 performers, 2 producers, and we have a lot of people behind the scenes who do visuals and help with like all the grant writing and all that extra stuff. But Notorious is like the first, I guess, kind of close all-male friend group that I had. It's like having like 6 extra brothers. And what I really love about Notorious is the freedom it allows me to be creative as an artist. With my own personal stuff, I try and take a more personal approach, and it's really personal. At the end of the day, it's who I am, it's what story I want to tell. So I try and take a lot of time to fine-tune and make things right. Whereas Notorious, it's kind of like you have a bunch of guys in the studio and you're creating and you're vibing off of each other and you want to try new things. And I feel like as an artist, I am evolving because of those guys and seeing how they perform and seeing how they do takes in the studio, and it's definitely helping myself develop as an artist. Ooh, we have Earth, Wind, and Fire. Can't really say much about this group. If you don't know, you should know. So I think like my star sign in my horoscopes, and like there's elements involved in it, and I think my elements are like Earth, Wind, and Fire. So who knows, that might be the next avatar. Lyrically, Don't Go Out is quite dark. Can you tell us about what inspired the track and the meaning behind it? So Don't Go Out is kind of a take on Toronto's current music culture, as well as a bit of the dark side of Toronto. Unfortunately, we've lost a lot of Toronto rappers and talent due to gun violence and gang violence. And there's been situations where I have female friends who don't feel comfortable walking at night time, and I've had stories been told to me of them just minding their business, walking down the street and having cars slowly drive behind them. And it's a scary thing to deal with, and you might find it in different places, but Don't Go Out was my kind of take on just the current climate and what I was facing and dealing with and those around me. And it was just me trying to understand a lot of feelings that were going on. Because during that time, COVID happened, we're in lockdown, the Black Lives Matter protests, so it was a very dark time for myself mentally, as well as those around me. So that was I guess an interpretation of that point of time. We have Rick James, bitch. Also known for his amazing bangs and the clacking of the beads. Also an amazing performer and just energy. I feel that nowadays there's not a lot of, I guess, that like performance aspect now. You do find it in some artists, but the theatrics kind of feel like it's gone a little bit for me. Question is, can you explain what Notorious is? Great question. Usually everybody else in the group answers this question and I just like sit back because it's the same spiel over and over again. But Notorious originally was supposed to be a mixtape. We all frequented the same studio and we were all hopping on the same tracks. So you'd have a lot of different songs with like 4 guys on it or 3 or 2. And it posed a question as to who does the song belong to? Because there was no real sense of like, oh, I want you to hop on this track. It's mostly like our producers are playing beats and we all just write verses. Like, what does this make you feel like? Cool, I'm writing about the same thing. And then we just complete tracks. So Notorious originally was a mixtape. Somebody dropped the hard drive and we lost the whole project. So we had to pretty much start from scratch, figure out what songs on that project were worth trying to recreate, seeing what stems we could pull from other computers. And then at some point, it felt like we kind of got co-opted into it, but it's like we ended up just being a group, and I have no qualms. I'm super happy about how it turned out. All right, so last but not least, we have James Brown, the GOAT. I watched a Netflix documentary on his lifestyle and him growing up, and I really fell in love with his work ethic. Pretty much, he was quite a force to be reckoned with. It's no secret that a lot of Canadian artists still look to the US for opportunities to advance their career. What do you think Canada needs to do in order to keep its artists here? Ooh, that rhymed. Well, if Canada could change the weather, that would be great. It's way too cold. But yeah, there's like a lot of brain drain, you could say, with artists who might start in Canada and then move off to the States. It does feel like there's a lot more opportunities out there, but I think there's not a lot of structure musically and like foundation. A lot of spaces for performing or DIY spaces aren't very accessible. They might cost a lot of money. They might not want to open their doors to rap, hip hop acts because they believe it's going to bring a certain type of crowd. So there's definitely limitations as to what you can do as an artist, but that definitely forces us to be more DIY and be more creative, and it pushes us to try different things and be a bit more. Also, when people leave, there's not really a lot of support of the up-and-coming artists. It's kind of like, cool, I got out, I don't have to worry about the city anymore. Occasionally you see some bigger names shining light on some acts, but it's seems to be for a very limited time, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of mentorship. So I think that with young artists, mentorship is important, and creating more accessible spaces for performances. My name's Kafaye. You can find my music on all streaming platforms. If you want to follow my journey, check me out on socials @FatherMelanin, and there's more to come, so stay tuned.